I guess we'll start. And first of all, thank you for the ones that decided to come here tonight. Um, I guess I'll just kind of give you a background on me, and then maybe we'll open it up for some questions because this is pretty close knit here, and you guys can ask me anything you want. Actually, um, I can go on for hours and hours, so I'd rather not do that and talk about more of what you guys want to hear about. For me, first of all, just how I came to be. So I immigrated here with my parents, actually my mom, when I was 3 years old, and I landed in Tracy, California. From there, I went to Lathrop, and I grew up in Lathrop. So I am an MUSD product. I went to Lathrop School as a kid. Actually started at Lathrop Annex. It used to be an annex there. And then went to Lathrop School, finished there, and I was supposed to actually come to East Union High School. And then Sierra High School got built. And so then I ended up going to Sierra High School and graduated out of Sierra High School. That's still up for debate, but I did. And then from there, I went to University of Pacific, UOP, and graduated out of there. I have a double bachelor's, one in business and also a biochem degree because I was going to go become a doctor because that's what I was supposed to be. That didn't work out, obviously. And then out of college, basically, so I grew up in a family business my whole life. My parents, my dad started in the donut shop business, and then eventually switched from the donut shops to the liquor store business. So I grew up in a convenience store as a little kid. I started working there when I was about 5 years old, and all the way through high school. I didn't really get in trouble because I was always at work. So that's kind of where my work ethic comes from. Been around business my whole life. That's why I kind of went to business school also. Came out of business school, got offered a job actually my junior year out of college for Coldwell Banker, which was a brokerage firm. And I ended up taking it coming out of college, didn't go to medical school, and never looked back, became a real estate broker. I've been in real estate ever since. One of the cool things about my real estate world is that I guess it was already in me at a real young age because I was already managing properties when I was in high school. When I went to UOP, my dad helped me buy 2 houses near UOP. And so while I was in college, we owned those houses, and I used to rent them out to college kids, and that's how I had helped pay for UOP. And then right when I graduated, we ended up selling those houses, and I ended up clearing all of our debt for college debt, and also ended up having some extra money to start our business. So, and then the company I ended up starting with, Coldwell Banker Crossroads, eventually about 6 years ago. I remember the first day I walked into that room with our broker, and she asked me, she was in the business for 40 plus years, and she's like, well, you're a young kid, I was 20, what do you see yourself in the future? And I'm sitting there, and I told her, in the future I see myself sitting at your seat. And she's like, man, what's up with this kid? And so it's kind of interesting how life comes full circle. She passed away a few years back, and I got a call from her daughter. And actually today, the company that I started with, that she owned, which is Crossroads Real Estate, is what I own today. And I ended up buying the company, and I ended up actually pulling together what I told her I would do, and I actually sit in her seat today. So I actually ended up, owning the company that I started with, and what I said to her came true. So I guess I'm a long planner. Other than that, so then that's the regular world. I'm married. I have two boys. I've been married for 19 years. It's been a very long time. I have two boys. My older one, both of my boys grew up here in Manteca. They went to Woodward Elementary, then they went to Sierra High School. My older one now is following my footsteps and is at UOP. He's also in business school. And then my younger one is a sophomore at Sierra High School. So it's kind of a cool tradition that, I've been here for such a long time, and I have, second generation now, going through where you have a father-son team that is literally has gone to the same high school and the same college. Those are very hard things to find in our community. So I'm one of those that went to college and stuck around and stayed here. So I'm your local kid. And then politics. This is the interesting thing, is because normally in our, in the Indian tradition and the religion, politics is not really thought of like it's a great thing to be in. That's probably something you should stay away from. Obviously, I've messed that up also, and it just came. I've never was really interested in politics. Never wanted to be a politician. Never wanted to do any of that. Unlike Nihar, he already wants to be a politician. But I was just a guy that worked at a liquor store. Did real estate, and happened to meet the mayor one day at an event, and started talking about how you could change development this way and that way. And the mayor happened to mention to me, hey, you should apply for a planning commission for our city. And I said, what is that? And then I went and figured it out, and I applied. I got selected, and I thought it was a cool thing, because at that time, when this is 2015, 2014, a lot of people, young people, were not involved in government at all. I was the youngest person ever to be a planning commissioner at that time, and you'll see this theme continue. Everybody around me was much, much older. And that was one of the things I remember when I was standing in front of the council at that point. They asked me, why do you want to be a planning commissioner? And I said, well, I'm diverse, and I come from a business community, but I'm also a millennial, and I feel like I can, bridge that gap between you old folks up there. I basically told them they were all old. And they still first somehow picked me. I don't know why. But got into planning commissions, started doing a lot of changes and looking at things from a different perspective. I like to look at development and everything we do on a long-term basis of how the effects of everything we're doing is going to affect our community, our city, way after I'm gone, and even people around us. And I think that sometimes is harder for individuals, because they're kind of just thinking about, especially in the political world, everybody kind of thinks about now, because they need to perform and they need to get some wins, so that way the people will like them, and so they can get reelected. And I usually am not necessarily looking for the now. I'm looking for setting up the platform for that way the future generations are successful in our city. And at the same time, the goal also is to really encourage the youth in our community to want to do what I do, and it's that being an elected person is not a bad thing. So going through Planning Commission, we've made some changes, and unfortunately a lot of those got overturned because you had councils that just didn't think the same way. And that's kind of what got me going to want to run for city council. I was one out of 6 people running. Nobody gave me a chance. I was the youngest person on that ballot. They thought there's no way. Got no support. And actually at that point it was all knocking on doors. Me and my wife knocked on thousands and thousands of doors in the city and explained to people. You'd be amazed how many people in this city at that point don't understand what a mayor or a council or anybody is. They don't understand government at all. They just kind of go with whatever you see on TV. And I was one of them. I didn't know what a mayor did or what a council did or where any of these council meetings were. And so that was one of the goals of mine, was that if I ever did get elected, I would make sure that everybody knew who I was and I would be approachable and they would know how to get a hold of me. So we knocked on a lot of doors. I heard the good, the bad, the ugly, you name it. People slammed their door on my face and told me things that I've heard all my life, actually. I'm kind of very calm person. My wife, on the other hand, is not so calm. But that's why I guess we complete each other. But we worked through it. I actually ended up getting elected. I ended up with the highest votes out of all those individuals. From there, that point on, have held true to my word that I'm always available for the people. And something that I've started back then is that the city of Manteca didn't even have a social media page at that time, and we're not even talking about decades ago. So I'm kind of the one who started it. I've been very active on social media ever since. And my biggest goal has really always been is to be able to connect with our youth. And I always felt that I was much closer to you guys than I was to the other guys on my other side. I was half the age of everybody out there. They didn't think I knew what the heck I was talking about. But slowly started transitioning, and I think we bring a very different perspective now. We've kind of speeded up how Manteca works. I think that's also coming from the private sector and understanding business. We try to run government just like a business, at least aspects of it. But the other big thing for me is that I don't just go do things. What I do is actually learn a little bit about everything that we're doing. So I have worked very hard to learn a very good aspect of every part of our city. So that way, the people that we are working with, I understand their job. And that could be from all the way from the guy that's picking up our garbage to the person that's our city engineer, and I'm kind of the go-getter, ground level guy, and I try to go figure all those things out. And now it's gotten to the point where there's respect between staff, between other electeds. Once I became mayor, I feel like being mayor is not necessarily that, I'm different than everybody else. I really call myself as more of a unifier. My goal is to unite my council and take what each one of my individual council members is good at and bring them together and make them part of a team. And that's really the concept that I've really worked hard on, is to be a team player and also make everyone, not just our council, but all 483 employees at the city of Manteca feel like they're part of Team Manteca. And everybody, even if we're standing there or their boss is standing there or not standing there, they still understand they represent a team, and that comes with a certain standard. And that's what I think we have finally committed in Manteca, and that's why I think our city is moving the way it is. Because, and in our current council, I have people, when it comes to politics, that are on the left or the right. We all come together and make decisions for our city that has nothing to do with left or right. And then I think that's really one of my biggest jobs, is to make sure that we don't create those tensions and the drama that maybe people are seeking, and making sure that we are making good decisions for our city and putting our personal biases aside. So that's kind of a snapshot of everything that I just gave you. And I guess we'll up to you now. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, what are some, you touched on this, but what are some of the biggest challenges of leading such a growing city like Manteca?
So one of the bigger challenges obviously is growth itself, because you're dealing with, I'm an old timer, even though I'm the young guy. You're dealing with individuals that are still have this perception that Manteca is still small, or they wanted to make sure it's small. So you have those individuals that still want to keep it as that small town. Then we have individuals that are moved into our city and they have expectations of a certain amount of amenities and they want it to be a city. So we as a council have to kind of meet and find out how we make most of those people happy. And it's hard because you're on opposite sides. So growth itself is inevitable, and that's the sad truth. We're growing as the human race, and there's a migration happening into the Central Valley, and it's been going on for decades and decades before I was even around, and it's not going to stop. Affordable housing is an issue in itself, and how do we balance growth? I think one of the biggest things that we're trying to do is making sure that growth is not creating those issues such as the traffic and all of the different issues that people, honestly, I don't think people are against growth. They're against the consequences of growth, which is the traffic and the infrastructure needs. And those are the things that we're really committed to make sure we move forward. And then I think also a lot of our cities here are becoming much more diverse. And diversity is great for a city, but at the same time, you have some old habits that need to change. But they are changing, because if that wasn't true, then I wouldn't be sitting here as the mayor. So that's telling you that we are evolving, and some of it's growing pains.
So, what do you hope that Manteca will look like 10 or 20 years from now? And like, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Wow. Well, yes. So like I told you, I'm a long-term thinker. You usually think big or go home. And so I am thinking big. And I think city of Manteca sits also geography-wise very much in the center of California. We have a very unique location. When it comes to any other city, we are very centrally located. We are within an hour away from a lot of things if we didn't have traffic. And that's what makes us very special. Now we've brought in some good players within our city as far as, Great Wolf Lodge or Big League Dreams and things like that. But the next big goal here is that we've brought in so many people. We're 95,000 plus in the city of Manteca now. And so the transition now is that we've built a lot of housing, we've built a lot of residential, but now how do we transition away for not just be a residential housing bedroom community? How do we create commercial, industrial development in our city where people can work, live here? But the other biggest thing for us as a city too is how do I help individuals that are here spend their money here and give them options to spend their money here. And that's one of the biggest things, is we need to figure out how to capture their income. So that's where the next switch is going to happen, is that we're going to try to encourage more commercial growth, make it easier for development on the commercial side, and making sure our infrastructure is also in line. The big thing, of course, I brought some extra booklets for some people, but you guys know about FEZ. This is the Family Entertainment Zone. That's what the FEZ stands for. So this is the area around Great Wolf Lodge, Big League Dreams. It's 150 acres. We're looking at city-owned 150 acres land that we're going to eventually turn into a complete family entertainment zone, just like, say, a downtown Disney. We're talking about man-made lakes, restaurants around it. We're looking at, on the map here, you kind of see a structure that looks like Top Golf. We're also looking at multi-use fields, so we can take, the big tournaments and the soccer and all that and put it out here. And then also we're looking at a big promenade type area where you can have outdoor amphitheater, event space, so you could do outdoor concerts. I really see that Manteca can turn into that area where everybody's going to come to, eat, play, and have fun. And this, again, at the same time, will, one, step us away a little bit from just being a residential community, two, also be more sustainable in the long run because we will have sales tax revenue and not just rely on property tax for our city. And then three, also have great things for our local kids and our community to also enjoy right here in our city. And basically what I'm trying to do is create a one-stop shop place. Everything's going to be right here for you. So once you come to Manteca, you'll never want to leave.
How do you think Measure Q, that sales tax measure, has affected your plans and the council's plans in the development of Manteca?
So Measure Q, I think, has actually speeded up. Obviously, we've talked about this extensively last year. So Measure Q is a 3/4 cent sales tax with a 20-year sunset. I'll kind of explain the 20-year sunset real quick, why we did that. When we brought in Great Wolf Lodge in our city, we did a 25-year tax sharing agreement with them, which waterfalls down to where at the end of the 25 years, we would get 100% of their TOT, which is their hotel tax. And so doing the Measure Q at a 20-year, that's about the time what's left on Great Wolf. So that way, this is kind of holding us until we start getting more money in from the commercial side instead of just relying on property tax. So Measure Q, what it's allowed us to do now is it's kind of put a lot of our projects on speed here, because there's been a lot of projects that have been sitting there for a long time that we have not been able to move on because we just don't have the money. Measure Q has allowed us to now currently bring in $12 million extra to the city of Manteca annually through sales tax. We got our first check this year so far. It's about $3.6 million for our first quarter. So in a $12 million, where we've now this year have already spent 4.5 of it just to streets. So we added almost $4.5 million extra to streets on top of our normal street revenue to fix streets. That's why you're seeing many streets in the city of Manteca being worked on everywhere. And that is part of Measure Q. That's why we could do that. We were able to spend almost $1 million, or actually $2 million, towards our police department. We were able to get everybody new vehicles. We had about 42 new vehicles ordered. Also, our fire department, we ordered 2 new engines on a tune of about $2.6 million. All of these things are being feasible because of Measure Q. The other big win that Measure Q is going to bring to us next year is that we had talked about this, about needing a new police station in the city of Manteca. Our police station is very old. 1976 was when it was built. We were a much smaller city and we still have the same station. We will now be able to build a brand new station on Main Street near Walmart there in that field. It's going to cost us anywhere about $80 to $90 million. But what we could have done is that we could have waited for the money from Measure Q, pulled it together, and then once we had enough money, then we could take it and build the police station. But instead of doing that, what we are doing is actually going to bond against Measure Q, because we know that money's coming for the next 20 years. and float basically an 18-year bond to pay for and actually start the police station next year and get it done now in today's dollars. So that's going to be a big chunk of Measure Q. But you're already starting to see a lot of projects throughout our city that Measure Q is making possible that you would never have seen ever before. Fire station in the southwest of our city, we would have probably never pulled the trigger on that if I didn't know that there was Measure Q funds coming. So a lot.
How is the city ensuring that as we're getting a new police station, that Manteca is remaining a safe place to live as it continues to grow with the hundreds of people coming in?
Yeah, so definitely, every year our council does priorities for our council, and always on the top of the list is public safety. It's in many folds, so it's not always just saying, hey, we need to hire more officers, which we always do, or firefighters, which we're doing right now too, but also making sure that they have proper equipment, proper vehicles, a police station or a fire station for them to go to. But then also the other thing we're doing is not relying just on traditional methods and also adding in technology. So City of Manteca, brought in red light cameras this year. They've been working very well, unfortunately, for a lot of people. But it's good. I think it's helping our citizens be a little bit aware of their driving habits and be a little safer. I think those are other things that puts eyes on our roads without having an officer everywhere. I think that is also another big win with those cameras. We also have LPRs, which is license plate readers. They're always on. So what that allows us to do is also catch individuals that may potentially be coming to the city of Manteca and maybe having car thefts. It automatically triggers it and sends it to a patrol vehicle, and they can literally see that the car is driven through that was stolen, and now hit the next camera, and next time they can literally go catch them. We've caught so many individuals that way. It also has deterred retail theft in our city because of that. A lot of new businesses do want to come to Manteca because our retail theft is low, and also we prosecute here. So that is helping us grow the business sector. So with technology, with that, and then the other big thing is we're looking at any new development that comes into the city of Manteca. They actually now also have to pay a fee towards police and fire, which is completely something that we missed the boat on in so many years, so many decades of developments that we've allowed. This is something that we've implemented the last 3 years. That way, moving forward, as growth comes, there always will be an income source to also grow our public safety.
Now, so going back to downtown now, we have our downtown improvement district president here.
Mm-hmm.
What is the vision for revitalizing downtown Manteca, and how will it benefit the community?
So the downtown is the heart of Manteca, right? And it's something that will never change. The downtown is something we cannot forget. But the thing is, I've been around now for a while, and even as a kid, growing up here, everybody always talks about our downtown. And I've heard many politicians tell us about all the things they're going to do about downtown. But I think that was the difference with us, is that instead of just saying, yeah, we want to help downtown, or we're just going to talk about it, we actually went and said, okay, we're going to go do it. And we're going to make people mad, and some are going to be happy, but we're just going to go do it. And the big step in that one was first is forming our downtown business district. They've tried multiple times over the years, and it didn't happen. And I think it's very important to tell the story and explain why it benefits you. Lodi did it, and Livermore did it, all the great downtowns that everybody wants our town to be. But here's the other thing too, is that We don't have to be like Livermore. We don't have to be like Lodi. We have to be Manteca. We have to be our own downtown. But at the same time, I will say that it took boots on the ground, going out and talking to individuals, talking to business owners and property owners, and explaining what they're going to be doing if they vote for this. And nobody likes taxes, and nobody definitely wants to vote to pay more taxes. But this really was a big step because it took the power away from us politicians for downtown. It now puts the power in downtown business owners and property owners. And that's what's unique about that, is because now they hold their destiny. And I used to say, you know, I'm coming to you guys, but I'm literally eliminating myself out of the picture. So who would want to do that? Because you don't really need me, right? But here's the thing now, when they come together, they are a very powerful entity. They can come as one voice and talk about their downtown. They can own their downtown, that whatever they want to do there, they can push for. And also, it doesn't matter who's elected anymore. They will outlive everyone. So it's a great step. Now the next step is that we haven't given up. We just didn't say, okay, here you go. Now it's downtown district and you guys are on your own. Have a nice day. No, we continue to find new things to revitalize and beautify our downtown. So, you know, we brought in a community garden. We did those courts on Center Street and add some lights. We bought the big, beautiful chair that everybody loves in our city in Library Park. More to come, by the way. It's not over yet. You're not done yelling at me yet. There will be some other beautification things coming to downtown. They put banners up recently, and slowly that's starting to change. I think we just had this beer and wine stroll, and I talked to a lot of individuals there, and I want to say there's so many of them that they said this was really the first time they've been to our downtown. And they didn't realize all the different businesses that are in our downtown, because a lot of them have that perception of what it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or what they found in the park 25 years ago, and they keep on talking about that. But I think when you kind of go and see how our downtown is changing, all the businesses that are coming, we're going to add another cafe here. House of Mocha is doing great already, and you're going to add an Ileana's Cafe. You're going to add a bakery on Maple Street. Pasito's been a long time local there, but I mean, you got some good synergy going on. The banners that are coming up, and they're growing continually. These are all going to be big wins as the future changes with eventually our ACE train will be stopping in downtown. So you're gonna create demand for those businesses, which is gonna make our downtown even more flourish. We've on our side, on the city side, have also changed some zoning guidelines and allowing you to go vertical and build higher and put in residential above, do commercial on the ground floor. So a lot of those changes, we're all working, again, it's a team environment and we're all working together. It's not us versus downtown or the opposite, which I think has been a lot of the tension in the past. It's no longer us versus them. It's all about how we're going to do it together because it's our city.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I just have one more question and I'll open up to everyone to ask questions. How can residents, especially students, because this is Teens for Democracy, get more involved in shaping local policies or volunteering in the community? What are some opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if you don't follow me on social media, you should. But other than that, I think it's really important. I know it might seem like it's boring, and I thought it was boring too with local politics, but this is really where it makes sense. I know we get so much into what's happening in Washington, D.C. or what's happening in Sacramento because that's what we see on TV. But truly, guys, the biggest thing that affects your day-to-day life is local politics. and it has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. End of the day, this is a nonpartisan area, and all we care about is what we're going to do best for our city. And so I really encourage you to be involved. Come to our council meetings. They're open to everyone, first and third Tuesday of every month, 6 o'clock. You can also Zoom in. If you're on your computer and you're bored, you can watch us. I promise they're not going to be there very long as compared to other cities. I try to keep them not too crazy, and watch and just kind of learn of different things, and always feel free to reach out if you have questions regarding anything. Believe it or not, I get quite a bit of emails from students all the time asking why we're doing this and why we're doing that, because they saw it on my Instagram page, and I replied to them. And it's me. I don't have staff that replies to any of that stuff. All of that is me replying back. So I encourage you to come to council meetings, but at the same time, there's commissions, boards and commissions that we also have. We have the Youth Advisory Commission that I think is in a more of a renaissance here. We're going to be changing it up here soon. And I think those are also an opportunity for a lot of our students to get involved in local issues. A lot of times we like to throw it out there and see, because there might be real life things that we are facing at the council level, and we might bring it to you guys and say, well, how would you solve this? And kind of see a different perspective. And that's kind of what when I first started, wanted to be, was that different perspective. So I wanted to keep that going. And so, yes, please join our boards and commissions, and just follow us on different social media handles, but watch our meetings. Don't rely solely on what you see on social media, because they may not be true unless it's a real source. And again, the other thing is us and our council, we're in so many events and so many different places. Don't be afraid. Come up. We don't bite. And come and ask us a question. Introduce yourself. Believe me, I'll be happy to talk to you guys.
Thank you. If anyone else has any questions, this is the time now.
Do you have a favorite council member?
Do I have a favorite council member?
Man, you went straight for the throat. Jeez, can we ease into these? I know.
I don't think I could pick a favorite council member, because then I would have 3 people that are mad at me.
Sounds like there is a name, though.
So
Yeah, I know.
there is no answer to that question, really, because the way we have it set up in our council is we have committee assignments within our council, and I've looked at kind of the strengths of every one of our council members, and I put them on different committees that I work with them on. So it really depends. If it's economic development, I work with Councilmember Morwitt. If it's flood issues, I work with Charlie Halford a lot. Or if it's the finance or things like that, I serve with Charlie. If it's homeless or housing, then Councilmember Breitenbucker, Councilmember Lackey is, knee deep into that. If it has to do with ACE train or even the eventually Valley Link, Councilmember Lackey's. So I don't have necessarily a favorite. I have favorites for different issues. There's my roundabout political answer there.
Spoken like a grandparent.
Yeah. I know. Which one's your favorite grandchild? Yes, sir.
With all this growth and lots of more residential happening, Manteca Unified is also growing. So can you describe how that works, the logistics between making sure schools get built, or I don't pretend to understand that funding battle, or if there ever is a funding battle.
Yes. First of all, the city of Manteca does not build schools or funds them or anything. There's always this perception that somehow I control it all. You guys are a completely separate entity than the city. But the way it works is really, what development you're seeing today was approved a decade ago. It didn't just start yesterday. as a development application comes into the city, one of the places it has to also go to is the school district. And so the school district is definitely aware of every development that we are approving. We also encourage every development that gets approved to work with the school district and go into their funding source. So may it be a CFD, a Melrose, whatever they're going to be doing. And then the school district decides within that, you know, and I don't really know how the internals work on the school district side, but obviously they look at their parameters of how many homes are being built, what's the possibility of those homes having kids, because not every home is going to have a kid, and then what's the probability of having elementary kids versus high school kids, and then they kind of decide what's the need for new schools. It's hard. I understand their job is not easy either, because in order to kind of build the school, you have to have the students to get the money, but in order for the students to be there, that means the houses have to be built. So now the houses are there, but now you don't. Now you have the money, but now you're falling behind because you're trying to build a school. So it's always an issue, and it's similar to what we face too with, you know, I need homes to bring commercial, but I need homes to pay also for police and fire, but I can't hire those police and fire until the homes get here and the residents pay their taxes. So there's always going to be that middle time where, especially when we're a growing community, there's always going to be this catch-up period. But, you know, funding schools is a very complex math equation, and it's not easy. And there's a lot of different, there's a funding source for initial build, but then there's ongoing expenses and everything from, you know, the building itself to all the personnel. So, and we, the city, face the same issues. So, but I think we are a team together again. It's not that we're on separate sides. Unfortunately, we just don't control each other's. But I think what we like to say is that nothing is a surprise. Everybody knows what's coming. It's just that how we plan for it, and sometimes we are planned for it. It's just that we can't actually implement the plan because we don't have the money. And it's not really a fault of anybody's. It's just unfortunately the way the economy works and the way the dynamics of financing work.
Simply yes or no, would you say you mostly have a pretty healthy relationship with the school district, whatever degree your paths cross?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I have a really
Okay.
good relationship with the school district.
Awesome.
No problem at all. I come to all the events all the time. Does it, you know, I mean, there's times in the past I've heard where it's been a little rocky. But a lot of it, I think, is just depending on the situation. Because it's not just one thing that we deal with. There might be a thing that we disagree with here, but we're perfectly fine on this side on another thing. So it's like families, right? You don't agree on everything.
If you could give advice to students on what would be the best way for them to be engaged in policy or politics or anything else involving government going forward, what would your advice be?
Definitely do your homework. Please don't rely on even media. Honestly, you know, depending on what channel you watch, it will be skewed. I think you do your own homework and legitimate sources. Also go to the source. You know, a lot of times you will say that they said that on media, but actually go listen to what they actually said and see if they actually said that. And on a local level, definitely, I think, get involved, come to our council meetings, learn, ask questions. You know, I encourage you to come. I know, and it's not for everyone, not everybody. I was not a public speaker. I was a very quiet person. I was kind of scared getting in front of anybody, and it's scary when you're going up on the podium and trying to talk to and it's normally not that many people in the room, but when you start realizing that it's online and it's on TV, and now it's like, okay, there's a lot of people watching. But you get over that, and because this is your community, this is your city, this is where you are growing up today, and hopefully you will be growing with your family in the future too. So you got to own it, and so I think definitely that would be a big thing, is that get involved in politics within student government in your school, but also see how you can relate that to the actual city, and you can actually make a big impact. And then also, give back. That's the other big important thing, is that we have a lot of nonprofits within our community here, and there's an opportunity to go volunteer, step outside of your comfort zone a little bit.
As you've risen through the ranks in local politics and you've become more knowledgeable in that world, what's something you'd say was surprising to you, negatively and positively?
I think a lot of, I don't know if it's positive or negative. I think a lot of times in government, we kind of get stuck where we keep on doing the same thing. And we know it's wrong, but we still keep on doing the same thing. That's been one of the biggest things, is that every campaign and every time you always hear about change. We want change. Everybody wants change, but they really don't want change. Because when they get in there, they don't really want change. So I guess you got to be careful what you ask for. So that's been one of those things that it's very hard, especially when you have individuals that have been in their position for a very long time, and that goes from top to bottom, to ask them to change. And that's been my journey, trying to convince, my fellow electeds when I first started, to staff to work at a different pace or to do things differently. I mean, they know I hate it when somebody tells me this is the way we always done it. I'll choke them. Almost. But it's just, if you're not changing, you're stagnant, and that's not good. So that's been one of those things, I guess. It could be good or bad. And then the other big thing I think I've seen over the years is that we get stuck in the way we do things, and then we get comfortable. And I think that's where the problem is, when you get comfortable. Because if you're too comfortable, you're actually not doing a good job anymore. And so that's the biggest thing for me, even, is that yes, I was young, and I'm still young compared to everybody else on the council, but I'm not that young anymore either. And how do I keep on evolving for our community, but at the same time also give the next generation that, hey, you could do this also. Hey, if a kid that immigrated here that knew nothing and couldn't even speak English can now become the mayor of that city, then you can do anything also. So those are the other aspects of government. The other thing that we've really changed and that I love is that we've become more connected, or tried to be more connected to our constituents. We try to overly share. We throw out the word transparency, but I really feel the city of Manteca lives and breathes it. For a city that didn't even have a social media page, now we are crazy when it comes to social media. And we overly share, and it comes with its good and bad, where people now have someone to complain about, but that's also because they know about it more, because all that stuff used to happen before too, but nobody complained about it because they didn't even know about it. So I like that. I like to at least let you know and tell me the good, bad, or the ugly.
Thank you.
Yeah, anybody else?
Question. Now you have become a mayor at like one milestone. What's your career aspiration?
Oh man,
Will you see yourself
you want to
in
ask
5
me or
years?
my wife? She's telling me to come
We'll
home.
ask both of you and then we'll
She'll tell me to come home. Like I never had aspirations. That's what it's kind of crazy is that I'm here, but I never had aspirations to be the mayor of the city or even a council member. The day I became a planning commissioner, I was going to be the best planning commissioner the city ever seen, and that's it. And then I was going to be the best city council member, and that's it. I don't really have like the next step. Like I don't work thinking that everything that I'm doing is now the stepping stone to this next position. To me, it's whatever I'm doing right now, how do I do it even better than what I'm doing right now? And if the opportunity comes for something else, yes, I get approached all the time. All the way from Washington, D.C. to Sacramento. And I just don't see myself, honestly, going there. Assembly members, senators, I mean, believe me, they've asked me everything. I like the local level. Right now, I'm currently the mayor, and I can run for re-election next year, and that's kind of where we're at right now. I don't see me going anywhere in the immediate. But we'll see. Things can change, but it's not, for me, it's not okay. I'm already looking for the next seat. So if the opportunity comes, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. If you ask my wife, she knows that I don't need this. We definitely don't get paid enough to do what I do. And I don't do it for the money. I definitely love our city and I love what I do, and we're shaping the future of our city, and that's why I do it. If I was driving for the money or the notoriety, then probably wouldn't be doing this right now. But no, so we'll see. Yeah, I guess it will depend on the people, not necessarily me. If they wanted me around.
Okay. If nobody else has any questions, thank you so much.
All right. I survived.
Don't we do it?
You survived.
I don't.
Thank you very much. So,
Thank
just
you.
to be super clear, Mr. Awesome Social Media, everything, we can put this on our YouTube channel and all that good
Yes,
stuff.
definitely.
Okay,
You can tag
perfect.
me on everything too if you want.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much.
I'll share it over. All right.